and today I am bringing you a video I've actually wanted to bring you guys for quite a long time, and that is every battle member in Persona 5. Get right into it with number 9. Number 9 being on Takamaki. The reason I put on so low as the worst teammate on this list. Now, remember when I say worst, this is from my playstyle because every teammate in this game is useful in some form. Because On has the best magic stat in the game. But the thing that kills me is I'm kind of trained by P4 to kind of rely heavily on physical for a lot of things. And even in the later game where a lot of enemies null or absorb physical, they're usually null or resistant or absorb fire. So it even at a point in the game where you think she would be a lot more useful, she just isn't really all that useful. And when it comes to utility, she just isn't really all there. Of course, she has, Dormina and sleep. Like she inflicts a lot of ailments, but I'm not really a character that cares about ailments. I'm just gonna try and stomp you out or down you. So that's not my play style. As well as her being able to decrease attack. I've always been one that found decreasing the enemy's defense a lot better than decreasing the attack because I'm usually at a well enough leveled state to where I could take a normal hit off of an enemy, so even most of the time, and and a heat rose in attack. Like the only thing that would usually scare me is a mind charged or body charged attack. So I just never really had much use for her. All her healing spells only heal one person. Like she gets Diorama, which heals one person. I think before that she gets the regular Diorama. Um, yeah, other than that, I really just don't see that much good in her. Absolutely no physical attacks in her whole arsenal. A really low strength stat. I don't think it's the lowest, but we might get back to that later. Um, and just on top of everything, just not overall being that useful throughout the whole game. Sorry to say, even though she is probably my favorite female next to Makoto in the entire game, personality wise. But battle wise, I think she's quite dookie. Anyways, let's get into it, which is pretty sad because this guy is one of my main members. I have little hit squads in the game, with my two squads being my A team and my crit team. And Yuji is a big member of my A team, and it is all because if I can find the move, Mata Rukaja. He's the only teammate that naturally learns this move. And I'm sorry to say, but this is more useful than a lot of the other stuff he does. He does end up getting God's Hand and Agnyasha, similar to Chie from P4. But the thing is even though he has quite a high strength stat, his strength is still not as high as not Ryuji. I'm pulling a blank. Yusuke, not Yosuke. Yosuke's a P4 character. He still doesn't have a high strength like Yusuke. His main stat is his endurance. He is the absolute undefined tank of the group. He will be surviving hits that will kill most of your other members. But that's the thing is he only for me the only use I got was the fact that he had electricity, so I didn't have to use my SP to down people who are weak to electricity. And he had decent enough strength to where he could be a good backup to Yusuke, as well as being able to raise the entire party's attacks. But when it came to pretty much everything else, he was quite useless. He has easily the lowest magic ranking in the game, so if the enemy is pretty much null to physical and they can take lightning, but they can only take, they're not weak to it, it just does damage. Ryuji's gonna be dishing some really low damage for that, as well as being a pretty slow character. Even though agility is his third best feat, anything under 60 can still be considered pretty weak, as you'll see later on in the list. But yeah, for now, Ryoji Sakamoto is number 8, and it's sad to say because he is one of my favorite characters. He's the character I relate to the most, as well as just like I mentioned, him being a main character. Like I've beaten 80% of the bosses in the game with Ryuji. I even had him for the infamous Okumura boss. Let's move on to number 7, which is going to be Makoto Nijima. Now, I actually really like Makoto Nijima. Like, I think this is the part of the list where it gets really foggy because certain battles really dictate which characters you use, of course. That is the name of Persona, but I feel like Makoto can be squeezed into relatively any boss fight. Like I remember during the Forsaken Nijima, not Nijima, Okumura boss fight that Makoto just was a much better pick for me than Morgana. So I had Makoto as my main healer instead of Morgana for once. And it was actually pretty cool. As you can see, her best stats are actually tied with magic and agility, but she does have decent strength. Sadly, they didn't really expand on that, as she only has two freaking physical attacks that she naturally learns, and they're both basically the same thing. Medium physical damage to all foes, medium physical damage with a low chance to inflict dizzy, which means both these moves are just very poopy. You're gonna just use the magic anyways because it is 1 point stronger than the strength. Of course, this is a uh base stats for 99, and that's what I'm going off of. No cafe, no anything, because I wanted to rank them, because how hard would it be to rank everybody if everybody was at 99? But yeah, there's not really much else to say for Makoto. She is actually, there is a little bit more to say. She's the best utility in the game and also the only nuke damage user. And with her high magic, her nuke attacks literally feel like nukes, as well as being able to raise all the defense on the team as well as lower the enemy defense. She also has She's also the second best healer in the game, and she learns Meteor Rahan as well as Meteor Rama, Dia Rahan as well. Like I said, just lots of utility. I believe she learns the walls. Oh no, that's Haru that learns the walls. Um, the gay, oh yes, the Kunda. Anything that gets put on your teammates, like if the enemy uses lower defense for all your teammates, she can Kunda all that crap away, and you guys are back to normal, which is also really awesome because there's a lot of bosses that will lower your defense and just instantly try to kill you, or lower your attack, which if my main team, I usually am trying to raise attack, which, if I don't have Ryuji on my team, I'm the one raising the attack because Joker is 7 deadly tools of a bandit. Um, yeah, she ends up becoming a really amazing utility piece for the team, and I like slotting her in different little spots. But that's the thing that she suffers from. Her being the best utility means that she is a jack of all trades, master of none. And even in the magic department, she loses to both On and Morgana. So, anyways, I think I've talked enough about Makoto. Let's move on to number, let's see, 9. Number 6, this is a huge spoiler to the game, is it's third semester Akechi. Third semester Akechi is actually really it was kind of saddening to me because Robin Hood was just so freaking amazing. So when I realized that we were gonna get Akechi again in third semester, I'm like, what? I got Akechi back. Robin Hood was so overpowered. Now I have Akechi. It's gonna be amazing. And sadly, even though he's very good stat wise, he doesn't really lose in anything besides luck, and luck is really something you only really worry about when it comes to criticals. So it's kind of like whatever with him, as he has no moves that have anything to do with critical in the first place. Um, Good strength though, which is nice because he does have Levitine. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Don't murder me in the comments. As well as Riot Gun, which is good for all foes, and Levitine is amazing for one foe. But other than that, he has Meji the Lion, Debilitate, which is probably the main thing I use in his kit, sadly. And later on, he learns Rebellion Blade after the calling cards given out to Maruki. But sadly, he's just not as good as as the earlier version of himself, the Robin Hood version, and he just in the dungeon he is in, the third semester dungeon, there's no one who's really weak to curse. And it's if you're gonna use a physical damage, you might as well use the person you get at the same time as him, which is Samira Yoshizawa, aka Kasumi. Because she is just the crit queen, and that's just what I call her, is the crit queen. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a crit team, and an essential piece of that team, which sucks because it really left him freaking I almost forgot his name, Goro Akechi. It left him at the wayside. So it was just really sad to see a nerfed version of probably the best teammate in the game come when you're in the casino, not dungeon palace. Whew. Let me get a sip of water. All right. We are gonna move on to the is one of my main dudes, Yusuke Kitagawa, the weirdo himself with the two lobsters. I absolutely love Yusuke as a character, and he is actually my favorite teammate in the game. He's personally my favorite teammate. I'm coming at this from an objective point of view, because if it was my personal opinion, he would be number one. But after studying the stats as well as the moves and just the overall usability of him, he just is clearly not the best to me. But he's still amazing. Very high endurance, with endurance and strength being his best two stats, making him a tank. Very relatable to Ryuji. They kind of swap out the stats though, where Ryuji has the better endurance and the lower strength. But the thing is what really makes the difference is the fact that Yusuke is so freaking fast, and his entire character is nothing but accuracy and evasion buffs, as well as lowers for the enemies, buffs for you guys. And he has a much higher magic rating. And with the amount of guys that are weak to ice in this game, he just his magic just comes in a lot more useful than Ryuji's. And Ice, I don't know if it's just like this for me, but Ice popped up a lot no matter what I was doing. Like every single palace had a decent amount of ice. Mementos especially had a lot of ice weaknesses, especially in the later floors. So he was just always someone that just remained on my team for the longest. On top of the fact that he's just, amazing strength. He learns Heat Wave, Deadly Fury, which it's a severe fizz damage that's stronger after a freaking baton pass, which is very easy to pull off in this game. Unparalleled eyes freaking increases Alex chance to avoid physical, like just the amount he adds so much to the team overall, as well as offering so much just physical and damage wise, as well as having enough usability with his magic to really be considered one of the greater assets in this game. Other than that, there's nothing else I could really say. He's just really good at ice and physical. So let's get on to number four, which I don't know why I'm scrolling so high. Let's get back down. Sumire Yoshizawa. Now, I absolutely love Sumire as a character. She's obviously, I don't know about you guys, but she's obviously the canon choice for Joker to date. They give him so many little moments, and she's an awesome character, but we're not here for that. We are here for the stats, and she is kind of a glass cannon, sadly, but she's so freaking good that you really don't notice her extremely low endurance because she's all speed and strength, baby. Like I said in the last entrance, she is crit queen. She has apt pupil, which is a passive that increases her critical rate off grip. She starts with sword dance, the best critical move in the whole game. Colossal fizz damage with high crit. She also learns, I believe, she has a move that increases everybody's crits. If I could freaking find it. Increase crit rate up, brave step, increase the crit rate of party for 3 turns, which means her, you, Haru, and Morgana, which is my crit team, are just absolutely ridiculous. Every other move, if not every move, is a critical. So if you're just dropping and absolutely murdering everything so fast, is her endurance really that big of a problem? And on top of everything, she learns she is the blessed member, which in the final dungeon in Maruki's palace, bless is a weakness that came up a lot for me. So she was just an essential team member because if if she was on the team, she was useful. She was either raising the crits for an enemy that was, weak to nothing besides either gun or physical, which means you give the increased crit to the whole team, and then you have Haru one shot kill with Joker one shot killing, or if it's physical, then you have 3 people throwing out both physical damages with Morgana with her miracle punch, her with her sword dance, and you with your sword dance. So she was just an amazing piece no matter what to get the enemy team down and ultimately win the game. Uh, let's move on to number 3. The lovable Haru Okumura. Her stats are some of the best in the game. She doesn't really lack in everything. She has good magic and good strength, which is amazing because in I find her to be one of the most useful characters in the game. Okumura Palace, she's absolutely essential. You cannot beat that final boss without her. As well as the rest of the palace having so many guys that are weak to psychic damage that taking her off the team just isn't useful. On top of the fact of her being the only teammate focused on purely gun damage, where she eventually learns the infamous one shot kill. This move alone is the biggest reason why she's on my team because in the later sections of the game, where everyone's weak to every magic skill and all physical, but they can't take gun damage, she was the reason they were on the floor, and she was the reason I was getting my all outs. Um, on top of everything, she is the only character that gets the wall abilities, where she can put up walls. The Tetracon, where she can put up walls for both kinds, because I think she has both the cons. Yeah, Maracon and Tetracon, where she can put a wall in front of you. So she's the only teammate that can do gun damage as well as put walls in front of you. So Haru to me is just so easily a top tier character in the game. Because Wallace can be really OP and can save the Protag from death. Because in this game, Protag dies, you lose the whole shebang. She has the only gun damage, and that gun damage has a very high rate of crit, which means she's going to be dropping people like flies. And her psychic damage is just so freaking good, with her regular stats being very good. Like she has almost all 60s across the board besides luck, which it sucks. Her luck is the lowest when she's probably one of the characters that needs it the most. But with the addition of Samire, as well as you yourself as Joker, I never really found too much of a problem with hitting a decent amount of crits with heart. So that is why I think she's one of the best. Now we move on to number 2, which is Goro Akechi, but with Robin Hood. Now I know somebody's gonna go, Goro Akechi is on this list twice. Like, why don't you just rate everybody's personas? And I think there's a huge story thing behind this. Robin Hood is so much different than the rest of his personas because he outclasses them entirely. Like, this version of Akechi just outclasses dang near every teammate in the game, and he should, if he honestly would have been in the game longer, like if he would have became a Phantom Thief with you and joined your team from that palace and actually went with you to Shido's palace and beat the Holy Grail, I think he would be number 1. The only reason he's number 2 is because of the sample size we got, but it was one hell of a freaking sample size, dude. This guy's the only teammate that learns Megidola. He has amazing physical damage on top of having a 70 strength, which is really freaking good. He's the third strongest character, if I remember correctly, in the game, which is really good because he has all 60s. 61 magic. He's incredibly fast, with agility being his second strongest thing. On top of that, the dude throws out Megidola, like I mentioned, and the only teammate in the whole game that can throw out two different types of magic, bless and curse. Where he kind of got split up before, where later on in the game he gets split up, where Samiri takes the bless and he takes the curse. Um, this version, Robin Hood, has freaking both. On top of reducing susceptibility to ailments, automatic Terracotta, and probably the biggest and most important thing, he's the only teammate in the game besides Morgana that can fucking revive your teammates. Besides you yourself as Joker and Morgana, Goro Akechi with Robin Hood is the only person that can pick up teammates. They made Robin Hood a freaking monster. He's easily, if he wasn't only playable in one palace, he would have easily usurped number one. And I mean easily, dude. Robin Hood is a fucking a monster. But we are going to move on to number one. Number one is the annoying cat himself, Morgana. I can hear the people pressing X. I can hear the people clicking away. But please hear me out. Morgana is the second best magic dealer in the game. On top of the fact that he is the best healer in the whole game. So not only does he throw the second amount of highest damage magic when he uses his wind, which is something that pops up a decent amount in every palace, including mementos and including the third semester, he also has an amazing move called the punches. A lot of people don't like them. I love my lucky punches because that high crit rate will drop him like a sack of potatoes, and he has one of the best luck stats in the game. So that crit rate hits pretty hard. As I mentioned, he is a member of my crit team. The biggest thing is he is a true wizard, where he has amazing magic. His endurance not so much. He is a glass cannon, and you will notice that he does get dropped. But that is one thing that you kind of have to take because he is the only teammate besides our last entrant who's only available in one dungeon. This guy's available from the very beginning of the game. And him being able to pick up teammates is a very essential part of the game. His high damage magic as well as his crit chance keep him in the game. So even though he does have the chance of getting dropped like a sack of potatoes, the benefits extremely outweighs the cost. And then especially like I mentioned in later game where you have Samira who's dishing out crit buffs, as well as you yourself, Joker, being able to dish out crit buffs, as well as being able to pick people up. You as Joker can make up for a lot of the things that Morgana lacks in, and it's not too much. It's just the fact that you may need to occasionally double heal the team on some turns where the team just took a lot of punishment, and that happens in any RPG. So to discredit Morgana for that would be kind of, you would have to discredit Yuna from FF10, discredit freaking Ignis from 15. Like you would have to just discredit a lot of the best mages in RPGs. And I know those last two I named weren't some of the best, but those are the first two that came to my head. Don't shoot me in the comments. Anyways, yeah. Overall, the best healer in the game, the second best magic damage dealer in the game, as well as just being overall and extremely lucky with his crits, having a naturally high crit chance from the beginning of the game, as you learn Lucky Punch at 13, and just being fast as hell. So he usually goes right after you, the protagonist, or you or Yusuke, whichever if you're using Yusuke. But yeah, Morgana to me is just very easily the best teammate in the game. And that is the end of my list, guys. Go ahead and let me know your guys' top nine. Let me see your guys' rankings for your characters. I would love to hear different battle strategies. Is when I replay through these games, I don't like playing the exact same way every time. So if I hear something cool, I may just do it myself. And also, coming up after the Sonic Adventure 2 playthrough I am running through, um, Persona 4 Golden will be an option as one of the games I play next. So if you really want to see Persona and you like Persona content, especially from me, someone who loves Persona, uh, be sure to be on the lookout for that. Anyways, this has been your boy Deuces, and I'll talk to you guys next time.